Good afternoon, members of the County Commission. My name is John Valliant. I live in Knox County, Tennessee. I appreciate your time and thank you for your consideration today. I was not made aware of this current position until very late in the process. That's why I did not apply for the first round. It's my understanding that you've already been through one round of voting and heard from several very qualified candidates. Upon learning of this position and discussing it with several people who are very close to me, I felt I could make a positive impact and decided to submit my application. So in preparing for today, I've read through the policies and procedures and asked many individuals what would make a great candidate for this position. I heard many things to include the following. The purpose is to set forth and enforce a structured set of rules and guidelines to favorably influence the professionalism of law enforcement in Knox County through fair hiring, promotion, and management practices, and to protect law enforcement personnel from coercion or loss of employment because of political activities of the administration. To effectively do this, you must look at everything with unbiased eyes. You must demonstrate you are a good listener and that you can implement fairness and balance. Every scenario is unique. Politics must be kept out of it. You must protect the employees, and you must follow the rules. This all requires critical thinking, good judgment, and strong moral character. I come before you today not because I believe anybody from the board currently lacks these qualities or because I believe any of my fellow applicants lack these qualities. However, I believe that I can bring an attitude and a skill set to this position that would create a positive impact on the current board and help to achieve all of the objectives of the Merit Council. So I'd like to touch on a few of those skills. For one, I believe I can bring a legal perspective to the board that can help when there are questions of law or interpretation of the law. I don't believe there is a sitting member of the board that is an attorney currently, and I believe that that perspective could be one of value. Second, I believe I can bring a youthful perspective to the role. We have so many great leaders in this county, but so few individuals from my age bracket come forward with a willingness to serve their community, and I believe that a youthful perspective would provide some balance and pervert a diverse board. I bring a positive attitude and an unmatched work ethic to all challenges and roles I take on. For example, in the first 3 months of work post-law school, I've implemented many technological changes in our law firm, and I've reduced the cost of office supplies in our office by somewhere between 20 and 30%. I'm very process-oriented, and I search for structure when there's a lack of such. I also look for opportunities at every turn and always seek to understand, ask questions, and listen. For example, in leading up to this interview, I reached out to many individuals, including past members of the Merit Council, to gain their perspective on what success in this role looks like. I strongly believe that these qualities will create a positive impact on the current Merit Council. Let me be clear that I wish to approach this with an open mind. And I understand that the purpose is to protect the officers, and that's what I hope to accomplish by applying to this position today. Thank you again for your time this afternoon, and I hope that you will give me all of the consideration you can for this role.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Oster.
Mr. Valliant, I appreciate you coming down here. I also appreciate that, like I said, in other positions with ethics and with the Merit Council, that we are having some new faces come in and want to serve our committees. It is very important, as I had stated to Ms. Keith, that the new member understands that the role of a Merit Council member is to definitely protect the officers. I believe that you do understand that from what you've read. I do like the fact that you have the legal experience that I do believe is needed as this Merit Council. I just want to remind the Commission, as this Merit Council is going through a lot of changes, a lot of rules are going to be adopted and that kind of stuff. I think it's going to be extremely important for the Merit Council members and for Ms. Taylor and her staff to have that legal expertise also. And so that is important to me, and I stated that last month. As I talked to Ms. Keith about retention and bringing new officers on, do you have any ideas of some things that you could implement on the Merit Council that might be positive reinforcements for our officers that maybe we have not been doing, as we need to kind of think outside the box right now?
Certainly. Well, I'd first like to say, I think it would be pretty foolish to come into the position with an agenda I want to really come in on day one if given the opportunity and, come with an open mind and really, I'm not searching to change anything right away. I really want to understand what processes are in place first and get a better understanding of how things are working. However, in talking to some of the current members and some of the staff, it's my understanding that communication with the officers currently is a challenge. And I believe that it's also, I think officer recognition is a challenge. I know some of the things that Ms. Keith touched upon, she said that a lot of these individuals are not, they don't show up to this position with expecting a tremendous salary. And really, they do it to serve their community. And I think that one of the important things that we need to do is to recognize those individuals. And so without knowing exactly what policies are in place right now, I would suggest something to the effect of, having recognizing these officers and providing some sort of reward as the name, merit system would suggest we would, or some sort of, at the very least, recognition, or, on maybe a monthly basis potentially. But once again, without knowing all of the current policies in place that they currently implement, I think it would be foolish for me to suggest anything.
Perfect. Thank you again for your willingness to serve.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Oster. Commissioner Lee?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Valliant, I have several questions. How long have you been practicing law?
I've not been practicing law. I just passed the bar last week.
Okay.
And assuming all goes well this week, I'll get licensed on Friday.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a huge accomplishment. So there's 3 attorneys then that have applied for this. What do you consider would set you apart that you would be more qualified for this position?
One of the things I think I lightly touched on earlier, I think we have a lack of youthful perspective in our current leadership positions. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful in any way towards anybody. I just think that there are a lot of individuals that are not willing to step up or afraid to step up and serve in positions that could be, that would be good leadership roles. I think that it's important to serve in the community, and I think it's important to be able to stand up and not only protect individuals as this role would suggest, but to serve those individuals. So, I think that there are 3 other candidates, there are 3 candidates total that do have some degree of legal experience, to include myself. But I think that my experience comes from a youthful perspective. Additionally, as my resume would state, this is not my first career. I did have a brief career in business where I managed several different categories and worked with several different people in a corporate environment. And I think that experience could also lend well to this position, which might distinguish me slightly without knowing the other candidates' exact resumes.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Commissioner Lee. Commissioner Jay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Valliant, do you believe it's important to follow our nation and county's laws?
Yes, I do.
Do you believe it's important to follow those same laws even if you don't personally believe in or agree with them?
Yes, I do.
If elected to serve as a volunteer on the Merit System Board, will you abide by Section 4253C2 of the ordinance that governs this Merit System body and cease from participation in all political activity as outlined?
Yes, I would.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jay. Commissioner Frazier?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Valliant, for applying. We appreciate your willingness to serve. And you did mention that you read through the policies and procedures, and thank you for doing that. And you also mentioned, you understand the role of the mayor council. Is there anything you'd like to add?
I know one of the sections talks about promoting just and equitable incentives. And in reading through the Merit Council policies, this is a brief note. I'm not going to go into the exact statistics, but there was a lot of negative language. And I think that I'd like to bring a more positive perspective to this role, if possible. I think that there are, a lot of really capable men and women that serve our police force now that really deserve to be recognized for their accomplishments. And in reading through the policies, it did not appear to me that there were a ton of opportunities or a ton of avenues with which to recognize those individuals. And I think that would be just to touch on, improving upon those just and equitable incentives in a positive manner would be important.
Thank you. Last question. You are aware of the roles and responsibilities of the Merit System staff, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And would you be willing to support them?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners have any questions or comments for Mr. Valliant? Thank you, sir, and we will see you on Monday.
Thank you.